Hey gang, thank you for tuning in. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. My name is Seamus. Welcome to tonight's review. For this review, we've got the fifth studio album by pop superstar Justin Bieber. This one is called Changes, the long-awaited follow-up to 2015's Purpose, which was an album I never imagined in a million years owning, spending my own money on, and thoroughly enjoying almost every song on there. 2015, man, those were crazy times when What Do You Mean came out, and expecting to hate it, I ended up loving it and revisiting it and checking out some of the singles that preceded the full release of the album in late 2015. And then I picked up a copy of it with my own money, and it remains a mainstay in my rotation to this day, at least when it comes to pop music. So many great cuts in there, like Love Yourself. My grandma and I bonded over that song. She always liked the line, My Mama Don't Like You and She Likes Everyone, and that song played everywhere when it was a single. So yeah, me and my grandma bonded over that, which is cool. Company and No Sense were such great songs. Bieber sees a lane there, and that more promiscuous, seductive, maximalist pop music. I'm not really a huge fan of it for the most part, but he does see a lane there, and he can succeed within it a lot of times. I'll Show You and Sorry and Mark My Words were examples of him kind of not really showing remorse or recompense, but towards naysayers and not really expressing any real remorse for past actions, considering how much of an asshole he is in real life. So I guess you have to look at it retroactively, and I mean you can, but retroactively you could say that it's not really remorseful if he didn't actually mean it and didn't back it up by continuing to improve on his behavior. I mean, even though he's settled down now and is married, and that'll come up a lot as we talk about this new album, Changes. He still really is just kind of a dick, but I mean, you can still enjoy the music though when it's good. It's guilty pleasure stuff a lot of the times, but I mean, you'll never get me. You couldn't pay me to listen to his earlier stuff, save for maybe the song That Should Be Me with Rascal Flatts, of course. I admit to my bias, but other than that, you won't get me to. You couldn't pay me to listen to his earlier discography. You could only get me to listen to Purpose and maybe Journals and stuff like that when his voice hit puberty. So, I mean, he does see a lane in that maximalist pop with these like seductive lyrics, and but a lot of times his music does bend the knee to a lot of the tendencies in terms of the composition, the tendencies of the era and it's his music is almost always a product of the time that it's in. Very little stuff that you can call transcendent or different here, especially on this new album. So we're going to talk about this new album, Changes. So it opens with a song called All Around Me, where Bieber kind of speed talks, doesn't really sing. There's a lot of Chris Brown vibes that you'll see early on, and they'll reappear a lot throughout this album. And it's just, it opens the album with a little fanfare. Habitual tries to get things going by trying to recapture the seductive tone of Purpose, and Bieber sings it well enough, but it doesn't quite get there. Come Around Me does a better job of that. It plays like a sequel to Company, which is one of my favorite songs from Purpose. The album appears to be settling into a groove at this point. There's some skittering synths and bass lines. That do a good job backing up the more vocal-centric composition, which Bieber sings for almost every second of this record. It's a very vocal-heavy, vocal-centric listen. I mean, and he's a good singer, obviously, but it doesn't make up for a lot of the more not listenable, not accessible compositions here, which is funny considering that it's pop music, and it's very heavily produced, but it's you'd think it's the most accessible stuff you could find, but it's not organic or anything like that, and it could turn you away a lot of the times. Intentions is very earwormy, like the last track, Come Around Me. It has plenty of potential as a future top 40 hit, a radio hit. I'm predicting that this will be the next single, the next official single that comes out. It would be just fine without Quavo, but Bieber sings it well enough, and the lyrics are actually kind of clever in some places, like where he sings, "Heart full of equity, you're an asset." Some lines there are kind of clever. I do appreciate that. And then we get to Yummy. Save for that god-awful, lazily written hook, the verses are actually kind of decent. The Chris Brown vibes pop up again, and Bieber's falsetto is okay. The tenor on the verses, the falsetto on the bridge is okay, and yeah, he knows his lane, as I said, in this more seductive type of brand of pop music in terms of the lyricism. But that hook is just terrible. Available glides in on some soft keys, and again, more vocal heavy pop histrionics, but I mean, he honestly made me laugh. I mean, he utilizes his falsetto a little bit more here, and it's okay. He's not bad at moving up and down the scales with his voice, but a couple times it just made me laugh. It gets a little comical. Forever, I know that it's pop music, but it bends the knee to a lot of these conventions and typical tendencies of pop music almost too often. Post Malone is a welcome addition, but Clever, whoever he is, I didn't even know who he was until this song came, until I heard the song. And Posty is okay on the song, but Clever, yikes. Skip. At least we get to his part of the song. Running Over, Bieber kills it, does a great job vocally, runs the show until Lil Dicky comes along. And he ruins it with his whiter than toilet paper fucking ass. Take It Out on Me is kind of boring, honestly. Still very vocal centric. JB kind of gets lost in the shuffle though. It plays like a filler song. And then we get to Second Emotion. When I saw that Travis Scott was on the song, I was expecting it to be a sequel to No Sense, which is one of my favorite songs on Purpose, also featuring Travis Scott. It didn't quite get to that territory. This feels a little bit more upbeat and less sensual, especially in terms of lyricism. Bieber, to be fair though, to defend him, he does sound better on songs like this where the bass is more prominent, as you'll see in this song. But Travis Scott doesn't do anything for me most of the time. That trend continues here. Get Me featuring Kalani, or however you pronounce her name. I'm so sorry. We're starting to hit a roadblock here. Bieber sounds fine, but these overly romantic proclamations are getting almost too repetitive for their own good. Like, we get it. He's finally married and he's found happiness. We're happy for you, bro. But like, is his wife the only target audience here? Is that the only person who's going to enjoy this music? Is that all it's going to appeal to? Because there are other audiences, and I would never argue that someone should like bend their knee to like try to appease other audiences, especially if he sees, a target demographic or audience that he's dominated for a long time. I mean, to be fair, he does have this this habit of like going away for a while and then coming back and trying to reclaim his place in pop music in terms of relevancy. But I feel like as time goes on, he's going to get just more diminishing returns. And I feel like songs like this we get towards the end of the album, where all these romantic proclamations and all this rambling on about love. I mean, it dominates the narrative of this album, but I feel like it's just going to get grating on you after a while, and I do think he'll see some more diminishing returns. It's getting less creative, less original. ETA, this feels like a truly logical progression from Purpose, and the guitar selects at the very least are a change of pace. Mileage may vary if that's a good thing, but the vocals are good, you can't argue with them. But then Changes is a very short, brief title track where the guitar selects are copy and pasted. The hyper obsession with romance is copy and pasted. It's easy on the ears, it'll appeal to more non-cynical listeners, not like me, but once again, it's just kind of boring. Confirmation, the production value on here on the intro conjured up reminders of Skrillex, which I would have really appreciated, but Skrillex is nowhere to be found on this album, unfortunately. But the snap track is just choppy and samey. Biebs can croon all he wants, but he can't escape the filler territory and the cliched lyrical content. That's what Love is more guitar pop. If you've heard it once, you've heard it a million times. There's nothing new, nothing creative here at all. He does sell it in terms of the vocals. It sounds like he isn't phoning it in, that there are traces of like actual happiness permeating from him, which is alright. And then, at least for now, closes the album where Biebs utilizes his falsetto a little too much. Works for the most part in this mid-tempo composition, but it doesn't have any legs. There's not a lot of there, and it closes the album with very little fanfare. So, a lot of these songs just bleed into each other. I mean, he can just go on and on about how happy he is to have found love all he wants, but that seems to be the only thing he knows what to write about. I mean, the last album, Purpose, was like had songs that were, finally, burying the hatchet, so to speak, and maybe not ending on good terms with past relationships or whatever, but at least he appeared to be burying the hatchet and trying to move on and find his own niche, and then express some remorse for past actions. And of course, a lot of those songs like Company and No Sense were very seductive, and but this album starts out picking up where Purpose left off in terms of being overtly seductive, but then that slowly peters off, or whatever you want to say. It just slowly dissipates in favor of like these very like cliched themes of like love and happiness. And I don't know, man. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 Bieber sings it well enough, but the compositions a lot of times try to keep up with the times, and I do feel like you'll see some more diminishing returns as time goes on. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the review, smack the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell to get notified when I upload a new video. Until next time, take it easy.